Harvey. It's, oh!
Mrs. Simmons, what is your brother's name?
I'm sorry. Oh, life is not easy for any of us. Oh, that's what I keep telling to Myrtle May. I'll just have to hold my head up and go on just the same. I keep telling her, and she keeps telling me. Oh, she's heartbroken about her Uncle Elwood. Elwood P. Dowd. That's it.
Elwood P. Dowd. His age?
47, the 24th of last April. It is Taurus the bull. I'm Leo, and Myrtle is on the cusp.
47. Is he married?
No, Elwood was never married. He stayed with Mother. He was always a great homeboy. He loved his home.
47. Do you have him with you now?
I left him downstairs in a taxi cab in the driveway. I gave the driver $1 to watch him, but I didn't tell the man why. Even you just can't tell these things to perfect strangers. Oh dear.
Oh, Wilson, would you please step down to a taxi in the driveway and ask a Mr. Dowd if he'd be good enough to step up to room number 24 South Queen Street?
Ask him.
This is his sister, Mrs. Simmons.
Oh, how do? Nice to meet you. Why, certainly I'll be glad to escort him.
Thank you.
You'll find the rates printed here on this card.
That will all be handled by my mother's estate, the late Marcella Penny Dowd. Judge Daphne is our attorney.
Well, then I'll see if Dr. Sanderson can see you.
Dr. Sanderson? But I want to see Dr. Chumley himself.
Oh, but Dr. Sanderson is the one who sees everyone. Dr. Chumley sees no one.
Well, he's still head of this institution, isn't he? He's still a psychiatrist, isn't he?
Still a psychiatrist. Dr. Chumley is much more than that. He is a psychiatrist with a national reputation. Whenever people have mental breakdowns, they at once think of Dr. Chumley.
Well, that's his office, isn't it? I want you to march right in there and tell him I want to see him. If he knows who's in here, he'll come out here.
Oh, I wouldn't dare, Mrs. Simmons. If I did, I would be discharged.
Well, I don't like to be pushed off onto any second fiddle.
Oh, but Dr. Sanderson is nobody's second fiddle. He's young, of course, and fresh out of med school, but Dr. Chumley tried 12 and kept Dr. Sanderson. He's really wonderful. To the patient.
Well, very well. Tell him I'm here.
Right away.
Oh, dear.
Vina, isn't this place wonderful?
Oh, dear.
Mrs. Simmons?
Oh, you startled me. I didn't hear you come in. You're Dr. Sanderson?
Yes. Will you be seated, please?
Thank you. Well, I hope you don't think I'm jumping like that all the time, but
No, of course not. Miss Kelly tells me you're concerned about your brother, Elwood P. Dowd.
Yes, doctor. He's... Oh, this isn't easy for me, doctor.
Naturally, these things are not easy for the families of patients. I understand.
It's what Elwood's doing to himself, doctor. That's the thing. Oh, Myrtle May has a right to nice friends. She's young and her whole life is before her. That's my daughter.
Your daughter. How long has it been since you've noticed any peculiarity in your brother's actions?
Oh, well, I noticed it right away after Mother died, and we came home from Des Moines to live with Elwood. I could see that he...
Let me what? Take your time, Mrs. Simmons. Don't strain. I'll wait.
Doctor, everything I tell you is confidential, isn't it?
That's understood.
Because it's a slap in the face to everything this family has stood for in the community, the way Elwood is acting now.
I am not a gossip, Mrs. Simmons. I am a psychiatrist.
Well, for one thing, he drinks.
To excess.
To excess? Oh, well, what did you call it excess when a man never lets a day go by without stepping into one of those cheap taverns, sitting around with riffraff and people you never even heard of, inviting them home to the house, playing cards with them, giving them food and money. And here I am trying to get Myrtle May started off with a nice group of young people.
Well, I couldn't really answer that question because I don't know.
I can. Yes, it certainly would have.
Who is this Harvey?
Oh, he's a rabbit.
Perhaps, but who is he? He's someone that your brother met in one of these bars. You disapprove.
Doctor, I've been telling you, Harvey is a rabbit. 6 feet high. Or is it 6 feet and a half?
Heaven knows I ought to know. He's been around the house long enough.
Mrs. Simmons, let me understand. Are you trying to tell me
Oh,
that?
doctor, do I have to keep explaining myself? My brother insists that his closest friend is this big white rabbit. This rabbit is named Harvey. Harvey lives in our house. Don't you understand? He and Elwood go every place together. Elwood buys railroad tickets, theater tickets for the both of them. Oh, dear. As I was saying to Myrtle May, if your uncle was so lonesome that he had to bring something home, why couldn't he bring home something human? He has me, doesn't he? He has Myrtle May, doesn't he? Doctor, I'm going to tell you something that I've never told to anybody in the whole world before. Every once in a while,
I see that big white rabbit myself. Now isn't that terrible? I never even told that to Mermaid.
Mrs. Simmons. Here.
oh, doctor.
You've been wearing a bright heel.
Yes, I have.
Grief over your mother's death has depressed you considerably.
Nobody knows how much.
Been losing sleep.
Who could sleep with all of that going on?
Short-tempered overtrains.
Well, you just try living with those two and see how your temper holds up.
Loss of appetite.
Who could eat at a table with my brother and a big white rabbit? Well, I'm finished with it. I'll sell the house. I'll be appointed conservator of Elwood's estate, and then Myrtle May and I will be able to entertain our friends in peace.
It's too much, Doctor. I just can't stand it.
Of course. You're tired.
Oh, yes, I am.
You've been worrying a great deal.
I have. I can't help it.
That's okay, Mrs. Simmons. Because now, I'm going to help you.
Oh, Doctor.
Just sit there quietly, Mrs. Simmons, and I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Oh. Doctor, I'll just go down to the cab and get Elwood's things. Oh, dear.
Why didn't anybody answer the buzzer?
I didn't hear you, Doctor.
I ran. Miss Wilson, sound the gong. That woman must not leave the grounds.
She's made to get her way, hand off.
Her condition is serious. Go after her.
I can't believe this.
Henry, Dr. Sanderson, allow no patient to leave the grounds. I've gone after her myself, but nobody answered the buzzer.
But Wilson was himself, Doctor.
What have we available?
Room number 13 Upper West R is ready, Doctor.
Have her taken there, and I will prescribe preliminary treatment. I must get into contact with her brother.
But, Doctor, I didn't know it was the woman who needed treatment. She said it was for her brother.
Of course she did. It's the oldest dodge in the book. It's always used by the most cunning type of psychopath. She obviously knew that he was about to commit her, so she came in to him and hit him first. Get him on the telephone, please.
But, Doctor, I thought the woman was all right, so I had Wilson take the brother up to cell 24. He's there now.
You did what? No gas, please, Miss Kelly. Tell me you're kidding.
I'll do it, Doctor. I'll do it. I'll make it. Mrs. Dumfrey, would you please unlock the door to number 24 and give Mr. Dowd his clothes and
Ask him to step down to my office right away.
ask him to step down to Dr. Sanderson's office right away. There's been a terrible mistake, and Dr. Sanderson Sanderson wants to explain.
Look, no, apologies. Thanks.
Oh, thank heaven they hadn't put him in the hydro tub yet. She'll let him out.
Beautiful. And dumb, too. It's almost too good to be true.
Doctor, I feel terrible. I didn't know. When Judge Gaffney called and said Mrs. Simmons and her brother would be out here, and she came in here. You don't have to be so sarcastic.
Oh, don't I? Don't worry. We'll swerve out of the sub now.
Wait, where are you going?
I'm going to go tell the chief about it, Kelly. He may want to handle it himself.
Oh, no, he'll be furious. Then he'll die and he'll terminate me.
The responsibility is all mine.
Oh, no, Doctor. Tell him it was all my fault.
I never mention your name, except in my sleep.
But this Dowd man.
Look, keep him here, Kelly, please.
What shall I say to him? What shall I do? He'll be furious.
Look, he'll probably be fit to be tied. But he's still a man, isn't he?
Well, I guess so. His name isn't Mr.
Then use your old routine on him. You know, the eyes, the swish, the works. Keep him here, Kelly. Even if you have to do a striptease.
Oh, hell, of all the... Oh, you're so wonderful, Dr. Sanderson. You're just about the most wonderful person I ever met in my entire life. Oh!
Yeah, well, how about giving me a hand with the Simmons dame?
What?
The Simmons dame, huh?
Did you catch her?
Of course I did. She was coming down the path here. Skipping along, humming to some sort of little tune. I jumped out from behind the tree, grabbed a hold of her, said, "Hey, why, come on, sister, there's a man who wants to see you." But I'm going to need a hand, you know. I'll hold her if you'll undress her.
Oh, just a second, Wilson. Dr. Sanderson wants me to wait for Mr. Dowd.
All right, but make it snappy.
You're Mr. Dowd?
Elwood P.
I'm Miss Kelly.
Oh, let me give you one of my cards, dear. Call me at that phone number. Don't call me at this one because that's the old one.
Why, thank you.
And my dear, if you lose it, don't worry, I have plenty more.
Well, won't you please have a seat, Mr. Dowd?
Actually, I'll have two.
Well, Dr. Sanderson is very anxious to speak with you. He'll be down any minute. Please sit down.
After you, Nurse Kelly.
Oh, thank you, but I really can't. I'm in and out all the time. You mustn't mind me, though. Please, sit.
After you.
Oh, could I get you a magazine to look at?
If you don't mind, I'd really much rather look at you, my dear. You are lovely.
Oh, why, thank you. Some people don't seem to think so.
You know, some people are blind. That fact is often brought up to me. And now, I would like you to meet
Mr.
my-
Dowd?
Yes, Elwood P. Let me give you my card. Now, if you're going to call
I am
me...
Dr. Lyman Sanderson, Dr. Trumley's assistant out here.
Well, good for you. It's nice to meet you. And how are you this evening?
Well, that's going to depend on you, I'm afraid. Won't you be seated, please? I see you've met Nurse Kelly.
I have had the pleasure.
Won't you be seated, please?
After Nurse Kelly.
Sit down, Kelly. Is that chair quite comfortable for you, Dowd?
Yes, it is. Would you like a tie?
No, thank you. Can I get you an ashtray? Can you get Mr. Dowd an ashtray? Is it too warm in here? Can I open up a window for you?
Mr. Dowd, Dr. Sanderson wants to know if he should open a window.
Oh, I wouldn't presume to live his life for him. He should do what he wants to.
Now I can see you're not the kind of person to be taking in any high-flown phrases or beating around the bush.
Is that so, Doctor?
You have such disadvantage here, Dowd. You know it, we know it. Let's lay all the cards on the table.
Now that appeals to me, Doctor.
Best way in the long run. People are people too, no matter where you go.
I find that's often the case.
And people, therefore, are liable to mistakes. Miss Kelly and I have made a mistake here this afternoon, and we'd like to explain it to you.
It was all my fault, Mr. Dowd. Dr. Sanderson had nothing to do with it.
A human failing.
Well, I find it interesting nevertheless. So, you're saying you and Nurse Kelly here
We do hope you'll understand.
this afternoon?
The responsibility is, of course, not Miss Kelly's, but mine.
Well, Doctor, you know, your way of thinking may be old-fashioned, but I like it.
Now, if I had met with your sister first, that would be one thing.
Now there you surprise me, Doctor. I mean, I think the world and all of Vida, but I thought she had seen her day.
You must not attach any blame to her, Dowd. She's a very sick woman. She came in here insisting you were in need of treatment. That's perfectly ridiculous.
I tell her all the time, I'm fine.
Of course, but she had already spoken to Miss Kelly, and there had been a call from our family lawyer, Judge Gaffney.
I know Judge Gaffney and his wife too. They're wonderful people.
Dowd, she plunged into a heated tirade on your drinking.
That was Vida.
She became hysterical.
I tell her all the time, I'm okay. She doesn't need to worry about me.
I'm sure. I'm sure you take a drink now and then the same as the rest of us do.
Yes, I do. You know, in fact, I could go for one right now.
As a matter of fact, so could I. But your sister's reaction to the matter of your drinking was entirely too intense. Does your sister drink, Dowd?
Does Vida drink? Doctor, I don't think she's ever had a drink in her life.
Well, that's where I'm going to surprise you, Dowd, because I think she has and does constantly.
There you do surprise me.
But it's not her alcoholism that's going to be the basis of my diagnosis. It's when she began talking so emotionally about this big white rabbit. I believe she called him Harvey.
Harvey is his name.
She claims you are persecuting her with this Harvey.
Doctor, Vida should know I would never persecute her with Harvey. It's really important that you meet
Let me make my point first, please, Mr. Dowd. Your sister's condition didn't spring up overnight. It stems from trauma.
What?
Trauma, spelled T-R-A-U-M-A. There's nothing unusual about it. There's the birth trauma, which is the shock to being born.
Oh, that's the one we never get over.
That's a sense of humor, Dowd. Does he have a nice sense of humor, Miss Kelly?
Oh, yes, Doctor.
I think you both have a wonderful sense of humor, too.
To sum it up, your sister's condition is serious, but we can help her. I recommend that she stays out here temporarily.
No, Doctor, I've always wanted Vida to have everything she needs.
Of course.
But if she was going to stay out here, she'd have to want to be here and like it.
Naturally. Did Wilson get what he was after, Miss Kelly?
Oh, yes, Doctor.
What was Mrs. Simmons' attitude?
Not unusual.
If this were any ordinary delusion, if she were seeing something she had seen on her memory picture, that is to say, if she were seeing something she had seen once before, that would be one thing. But it stands to reason that nobody's ever seen a 6-foot rabbit.
Well, not very often, that's for sure.
I like you, Dad.
And I like you too, Doctor.
Look, she must stay out here temporarily. Under these conditions, I would commit my own grandmother.
Your grandmother drinks?
It's just an expression, Dad. Will you sign these temporary commitment papers as next of kin?
Doctor, you know, you really should have Vida sign those. She does all the signing in the house. She's really good at it. She manages everything.
We can't disturb her now. It's just a formality.
Maybe I should ask Judge Gaffney.
Tell him about it later on. Tell him I recommended it. And you know it isn't as if you couldn't drop in here at any time and make full inquiries. We're happy to have him. I'll write you out a visitor's pass. When would you like to come back? Wednesday? Friday?
Well, I haven't had dinner yet. Say an hour.
An hour. We're pretty busy around here, but I suppose that's all right.
You know what, Doctor? I'm not even all that hungry. Why don't I just stay here with you and Nurse Kelly?
Miss Kelly and I are pretty busy around here. We have to get him upstairs now and look in on a patient. But I'll tell you what you might like to do.
What might I like to do?
Just so you're sure that your sister is in the best of hands, why don't you take a tour of the place? If you go up the stairs and make a left, you'll find the conservatory. Beyond that, the diaper kitchen, and beyond that, the library.
You know, Doctor, you're right. For Vita's sake, I should do that. I'm going to do that.
It was a pleasure speaking with you, Dowd. And I will say that for a layman, you have an unusually accurate perception of the psychiatric problems.
Do you really think so, Doctor? I mean, let's be honest. Nobody knows anything about any of that junk.
Well, the good psychiatrist is not found under every bush.
I guess you have to look under the right bush. You know, Doctor, I really like you and Nurse Kelly. And when I meet people that I like, I just like to keep spending time with them. So why don't we all go down to Charlie's place, have a drink, and it'll be a fun time.
Some other time, perhaps. Give us a rain check.
When?
I couldn't say now, Dowd. Nurse Kelly and I wouldn't get off till 10 o'clock at night.
So, 10 o'clock tonight, we'll go to Charlie's. Nurse Kelly.
Dr. Chumley does not approve of members of the staff riders. But since you've been so understanding, perhaps I can manage.
All right then. 10 o'clock, I'll come back with a cab, and the four of us will all spend some time together. My friend is going to love you. And now, you said later on, so later on it must be. Good evening.
Good evening, Dowd.
And you.
I can breathe again.
That was a close shave. That man was proud. What he has to be proud of, I have no idea. I played up to his pride. You know, you can get anybody to do anything if you do it the right way.
Dr. Sanderson, you say you can get anybody
That's right.
if you want to. How can you do this?
It takes training, Kelly. Years of specialized training. There's just one thing I don't like about this Dowd business.
And what's that?
It's having to make that deep with him. Indeed, he did leave here as a good friend and booster of our sanitarium, so I'll go, but you don't have to.
Oh.
There's no point in it. I'll sit with him, have a drink with him, pat him on the back, and leave. Besides, I have a date tonight anyway.
Oh, right. By all means, I didn't intend to go anyway. The idea bored me stiff. I wouldn't go if I never went anywhere. I wouldn't go if my life depended on it.
Oh, what are you getting so emotional about?
He may be a peculiar man who wears funny clothes, but he knows how to act.
Oh,
His manners were perfect.
I saw you giving him the doll puss stare. I wouldn't miss that one.
He wouldn't sit until I sat. He said I was lovely and he called me dear. I'd go have a drink with him. You weren't going.
I'm sure you would. Look at him. All he does is that corny bowing around and getting up every time a woman makes a move. Why, he's as outdated as a cast iron deer. But you'd go and let him flatter you in a bar. You're a wonderful girl, Kelly.
Now let me tell you something, you.
Dr. Sanderson, Nurse
yes,
Kelly.
Doctor.
Yes?
Have the gardeners primo calculator on the Drysdale. There's a little fence down by the main road. We'll be ready to cutting next week. And the difficulty, the woman with the large white rabbit. It's been smoothed over?
Yes, Doctor. I spoke with her brother earlier and he seemed perfectly reasonable.
Well, I've had many patients out here who've seen animals. Never before I've had one and seen one quite that large.
Yet, Doctor. She called him Harvey.
Harvey, an unusual name for an animal of any sort. Harvey's a man's name. Well, I've known many men in my day named Harvey. Never before have I heard of an animal whatsoever with that name. Kisses are an interesting phrase, Doctor.
Yes, Doctor.
Now I ask, what is this hat and coat doing on this chair?
I don't know, Doctor.
Whose is it?
Was it with Dowd when you saw him there still?
Not when I saw him, Doctor.
Let's see if the hat has any identification in it. Look, 2 holes cut in the crown of the hat.
Well, that's strange.
Some ain't fair. Get them out of here. Hang them up.
Hey, you're gonna.
Ah, there.
Oh, Mr. Chumley, how are you? How's every little thing?
Yeah.
One of you guys is gonna have to give me a hand with this Simmons woman. Order a restraining jacket or something. She's terrible, awful, kicking and screaming and. Forgot all about me, didn't you? Well, I'll have you know, I got her corset off all by myself, I did.
Well, we're on our way to look in on that woman right now, Wilson.
Wow, that's good, because she's upstairs in the hydro. Oh my God! I left the water running on her! Don't be!
Remember Dr. McClure's cocktail party? I hope you didn't forget it. We promised them faithfully.
That's right, I'm on my way up to give a diagnosis. I'll be down shortly.
Oh, make it a very quick little diagnosis, dear, all right?
I will be right.
I don't want to be late for that party. Or dying to see the inside of that house. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Betty Chumley, Dr. Chumley's wife.
My name's Dowd, Elwood P. Let me give you one of my cards.
Oh.
Now, if you're going to call me at that number. Don't call me at that number. That's the old one.
Is there something I can do for you?
What do you have in mind?
Well, you seem to be looking for someone.
Yes, I'm looking for Harvey. I seem to have gone out without him.
Well, where was he when you last left him someplace?
Well, he was sitting right here in this chair, and his hat and his coat were sitting right there on that chair.
Oh, well, I don't see anyone sitting there now. Maybe he left.
Well, apparently he did.
What kind of a person is he?
Well, he's what you might call my best friend.
Oh, that's
He is also a hookah.
a hookah? Oh, well, is he a patient here?
Oh, no, nothing like that.
Or does he work here?
Oh, no. Harvey is my best friend. But I don't see him anymore.
Well, golly, where could he possibly be? What is a hookah?
Oh, that's the word.
Is that a new word?
No. It's something very old from what I understand.
I've never heard that word before.
I'm not surprised, my dear, because until I met Harvey, I had never heard of it either. You know, I hope you get to meet my friend Harvey, because he'll be quite taken with you.
Thank you.
Oh, no, don't think anything of it. Harvey, when he likes someone, he lets them know definitively. And in fact, if he doesn't like you, he acts like an empty chair or a hole in the floor. He's very choosy about his friends.
Well, you know, that's not such a bad way to be in this day and age.
Well, I mean, for instance, take my sister Vida. Harvey likes Vida, I think mostly because she's my sister. You would think that would be reciprocated, wouldn't you? But Harvey doesn't like him. Vida doesn't like Harvey at all.
Oh, gracious. Well, you know, I can identify with that because I try to get my family to like my friends, but it's useless.
But we have to keep trying, don't we? Because I'll tell you, if Harvey said it once, he said it 1,000 times. Mr. Dowd, I would do anything for you.
Well, I suppose that's true.
This is Chumley.
Yes.
Did you know that Mrs. McElhenney's Aunt Rose is coming in unexpectedly from Cleveland tonight?
No.
Well, then you're in the same boat that she is, because she doesn't either.
I don't know Mrs. McElhenney.
Oh, Mrs. McElhenney! She's my next-door neighbor. Wonderful woman. Now, Harvey told me that little piece of information about her coming. That's a good bit. You can feel free to share that with anyone, my dear.
Oh, no. I don't gossip.
You know, how would you like to go down for a drink with me?
Oh, that would be grand, but if my husband, Dr. Chumley, came down and found me gone, well, he would be furious. He would be slightly irritated.
Oh, we definitely wouldn't want that, would we?
I'll tell you what I'll do, however.
Oh, well, you do, however. I'm interested.
Well, suppose I took a message for your friend. And if he came in while I'm still here, I can give him a message, yes.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll write it down on this card now. What would you like me to tell him?
about that. He knows where. He knows this town like the back of his hand.
Harvey, you know where? Harvey what? Oh, just Harvey. I'll tell you what we'll do. You know, we're going downtown a little later on, and it's 20th and Monroe. And Dr. McClure is giving a cocktail party, you see.
May I write this down?
Yes, yes, indeed.
20th and Montrose. Dr. McClure. Cocktail party.
Cocktail party. Yes.
Well, what's he having a cocktail party for?
Oh, well, you see, he's having this cocktail party for his sister who's coming in from Wichita.
I didn't know Dr. McClure has a sister in Wichita.
You know Dr. McClure?
Well, no.
Just say, just do it.
Mrs. Chung,
Yeah.
are you sure you wouldn't like to come down for a drink with me?
Thank you so much.
Well then, I must forbid you adieu.
Oh.
Oh, and by the way, if you see Harvey, you can't miss him. He's tall, like this tall. This tall, yes. Have a good evening.
This woman, doctor, is uncooperative.
Dear,
Yes,
really?
dear.
Willie,
Just one second, Dr. Sanderson. Give her 2 of these at 9, another at 10, a trip to the hiker room at 8, and 1 at 7. And we'll see if she won't cooperate then.
Yes,
Okay,
doctor.
Ready, Dad?
Willie, there was a man in here just now. A man named, Albert B. Now.
Yeah, that's Mrs. Simmons' brother, doctor. I gave him full visiting privileges.
She must not see anyone tonight. No one at all. You tell him.
He didn't want to see her. He was looking for his friend. You see,
Can't be, doctor.
somebody came out here with this afternoon, you see. Well, he was sitting right in that chair, right over here, with his hat and his coat. He really was. He was so disappointed.
Dr. Sanderson?
Was there anyone with?
Not when I saw him.
But there was. He said he was looking for his friend, and he didn't know where he went.
Can't be that right, by George. We'll get to the bottom of this.
So, he said his friend's name was Harvey. Harvey, but he didn't give his last name, but he mentioned something about a hookah.
Mrs. Chung, how long ago was he in here?
Well, just a little while ago. I said we'd give him a lift down to town. Is that all right, dear?
Of course, of course.
You're right.
Mayday? Henry. Dr. Sanderson. Did a man in a brown suit leave here a few minutes ago? He did? He's gone?
Hello, Judge. This is Dr. William Chumley, the psychiatrist. Judge, I'm calling to check on the spelling of the name before we enter it into our records. You called out here this afternoon about having a patient of yours committed, an Elwin P. Dowd. How do you spell that, with a W, not a U? Thank you, Judge. Dr. Sanderson.
Yes, doctor.
Believe your name is Sanderson? You went to medical school? You studied psychiatry? You graduated? You went forth? Perhaps they neglected to tell you that a rabbit has 2 pointed ears, and a hat for a rabbit would be perforated to make room for those ears?
Doubts seem perfectly reasonable enough this afternoon, doctor.
Doctor, the purpose of a psychiatrist is to tell the difference between those that are reasonable and those who act and speak reasonably. Do you realize what you've done to me? Don't answer, I'll tell you. You've allowed a psychopathic patient to roam off of these grounds with an oversized rabbit. You've subjected me, a psychiatrist, to, of all things, to have to go and bring this man back to call a lawyer to find out who came out here to be committed and who came out to commit. There you are, Wilson. I will now have to do something I haven't done in 15 years. I will have to go out and bring that patient, Elwood P. Dowd, back myself. And when I do, your connection with this institution is ended as of that moment. Wilson?
Yes.
Get the car.
Yes, sir.
Pat, call the Lord, tell them you can't make it. Miss Kelly, let's get this woman out of the tub.
Yes, doctor.
I'm gonna have to call the cook and tell her we're gonna be home for dinner after all. Wilson,
Yes, sir.
you know what a puka is?
A what?
A puka.
Search me, man.
Wonder if it's in the dictionary. Just never heard that word before. I just don't know a puka. Puka. Maybe it's a lodge or a trap or something like that. Oh dear, I'm just so nervous. If Willie comes down and finds me still here, he'll be so mad.
Hookah. P-O-O-K-A. Hookah. A fairy spirit in animal form from Celtic mythology. Always very large. Appears here and there, now and then, to this one and that one at his own caprice. A wise but mischievous animal, favorite of rum pots and cracked pots. And how are you this evening, Mr. Wilson? How are you this evening, Mr. Wilson? Who in the dictionary wants to know?